Hi, I am Jake the Robot and I am about to help my readers in this presentation regarding to the random forest algorithm. I am sure that these scenes are familiar to you, as they are from the successful and revolutionary science fiction trilogy, Matrix, in which humans, in 2199, are fighting against intelligent machines that were created early in the 21st century and that have since taken control of the Earth. When The Matrix was released in 2009, it was viewed by the public as a science fiction film and as an imaginary creation of the Wachowski brothers. 10 years later, Professor William Hallal, emeritus professor in George Washington University, in his article at Washington Post, writes the predictions of 100 scientists about the future of intelligent machines. Some scientists believe that one day these machines could replace humans entirely. They contend that from 2020 onwards, artificial neural networks capable of interacting with the environment will prove that the brain can be substituted, giving a kind of life to machines. Certainly, many questions are raised in your minds right now. How can technology create something as complicated as the human brain? How can computer science convert science fiction to reality? Artificial intelligence is the answer. John McCarthy, who coined the term in 1956, defines it as the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. We can say that AI is the area of computer science that deals with designing and implementing programs which are able to mimic human cognitive abilities, thus displaying characteristics normally attributed to human behavior, such as problem solving, perception through vision, learning, drawing conclusions, understanding natural language, etc. In order to understand the term, let us take a closer look at its progression through the ages. Jesse will explain to us with a short description the necessary scientific terms that would result. Thousands of years ago, Aristotle provided the concept of syllogism, which always gives correct inferences from correct assumptions in standard expressions. In 1854, George Boole set out to investigate the fundamental laws of those operations of the mind, by which reasoning is performed, to give expression to them in the symbolic language of a calculus, inventing a Boolean algebra. A few years later, in 1879, Gottlieb Frege proposed a system of automated reasoning and laid the foundations of modern logic and mathematics. 60 years later, McCulloch and Walter Pitts published a logical calculus of the ideas immanent in nervous activity, laying the foundations for artificial neural networks.
Artificial neural network is a network of multiple very simple processors, each possibly having a local memory. The units are connected by unidirectional communication channels, connections which carry numeric data. The units operate only on their local data. Neural networks learn from examples and exhibit some structural capability for generalization. Another feature of neural networks is a high degree of interconnection, which allows a high degree of parallelism.
Thank you, Jesse. Back to the early 50s, where Minsky and Edmonds implemented the first neural network, SNARK, with 40 neurons, which used 3,000 tubes. As mentioned above, in 1956, the name artificial intelligence is used for the first time as the topic of the second Dartmouth Conference, organized by John McCarthy. 2 years later, John McCarthy invented the Lisp programming language and proposed a hypothetical system, the advice taker, which involved using knowledge, but generally deals with daily problems. In the same year, Friedberg suggested a technique, the machine development, which is now called genetic algorithms. In the mid-60s, Leonard Orr and Charles Vossler published a pattern recognition program that generates, evaluates, and adjusts its own operators, which described one of the first machine learning programs that could adaptively acquire and modify features and thereby overcome the limitations of simple perceptions of Rosenblatt. Later in 1969, Stanford Research Institute, SRI, presents Shaky the Robot, which demonstrated combining animal locomotion, perception and problem-solving. In the same year, the first International Joint Conference on Artificial Intelligence, IJCAI, took place at Stanford. In the 70s, Jamie Carbonell, Sr., developed Scholar, an interactive program for computer-assisted instruction based on semantic nets, as the representation of knowledge. Alain Kohlmauer developed Prolog programming language, and the 1975 frames were proposed by Minsky. The next decade, the Japanese announced the program, fifth generation, a 10-year program, to build computers with the machine language Prolog. The aim was to build intelligent systems, which among other things, would be able to fully communicate with humans in natural language. It's worth mentioning that in the mid-80s neural networks made their comeback. Does anyone of you remember what were the big news in 1997 for artificial intelligence? You guessed right, world chess champion Garry Kasparov was defeated by IBM's Deep Blue chess-playing computer. Deep Blue used heuristic search, one of artificial intelligence, as foundational techniques. Jesse, could you please tell us what heuristics are?
Sure, Jake. Heuristic is a rule of thumb learned from experience but not always justified by an underlying theory. Heuristics are often used to improve efficiency or effectiveness of optimization algorithms. Usually heuristics do not guarantee that an optimal solution is ever found.
Thank you, Jesse, for one more time. We return in the same year, where first official RoboCup football match takes place, featuring tabletop matches with 40 teams of interacting robots and over 5,000 spectators. I am sure that you will agree with me if I say that things are getting more interesting now. We now enter the millennium where the Nomad robot explores remote regions of Antarctica looking for meteorite samples. Honda presents ASIMO Robot, an artificially intelligent humanoid robot that is able to walk as fast as a human and delivers trays to customers in restaurant settings. Also, Blue Brain is born, a project to simulate the brain at a molecular level. As you noticed, this fascinating area of computer science continually grows, and more scientists grapple with its fields. We as students of VIDpart1 course will study the random forest algorithm. Before exploring the algorithm, we should make a reference to random forest developers, Leo Breiman and Adele Gudler. Leo Breiman, January 27, 1928 to 2005, was a distinguished statistician at the University of California, Berkeley. He was the recipient of numerous honors and awards, and was a member of the United States National Academy of Science. His research focused on computationally intensive multivariate analysis, especially the use of nonlinear methods, for pattern recognition and prediction in high-dimensional spaces. He was a co-author of classification and regression trees, and he developed decision trees as computationally efficient alternatives to neural nets. Adele Gudler is a professor of statistics at Utah State University. Her research interests include finite mixture models, minimum distance estimation, and the M algorithm. She collaborated with Leo Breiman on several different projects, including archetypal analysis and random forests. Dr. Gudler has worked on applications of random forests to genetic data, ecology, genome-wide association studies, and dietary pattern analysis. Now we have learned about the two scientists. Let's explore their trademark, random forest.